Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellness. Today we focus on a highly debated topic, living with a narcissist. How do you deal with a narcissist? How do you live with them? How do you recognize that you live with one? And can they learn to change? Narcissism, from the Greek mythological character Narcissus, who fell in love with his reflection when gazing into water, ending his ability to function. We sought to find these answers from Dr. Venus Chengor of Mindspa, a counseling psychologist and life coach.
Narcissism is classified as a personality disorder, and when you talk about personality disorders, there are many, and this one particularly falls under emotional and impulsive disorder because it has to do with your emotions. So, you know, a lot of people, you know, and nowadays people are really big on narcissism, but I always say don't be quick to judge someone because ideally and statistically, we all have a narcissistic trait in us, at least 40%, because yes, you only get to know a narcissist based on the behavioral, can I say, manifestations, and they should be around 80%. You know, so the normal person, you and I, might manifest maybe 40% because we want to be loved. You know, there's an issue of self-esteem. We want to manipulate things. You know, maybe you don't want your children to be going somewhere or your husband to be, you know, so there's that point of manipulation. But when you talk about now the extremities of these behaviors, it brings in narcissism. So narcissism is a personality disorder. And when we talk about even how it comes about, there's so much, and I think people need to really understand the genesis of all this. There are people who are born in families who there's a long trait of narcissism. So in as much as we say it is bad, it comes with very good qualities. Because when you look at some, can I say, careers, like, you know, generals and all that, you need to have that trait to be able to manage certain careers. All right. The only thing is when you overdo it and you end up hurting people. But narcissism also has its own positive sides. Okay. So you know, we talk about personality, cholerics, because they're go-getters. I mean, if you stand on the way of a choleric, you will not manage them because whatever it takes, they will do it to just go by you, you know. So if it means killing you and, you know, doing the extremities, they will do it because once they focus, they have to achieve. All right. When we're talking about cholerics are just part of personality. We have 4 main or major types of personalities in human beings, and this is basically, you know, the way you cluster people. And I just want to use the layman's term so that anyone who is watching, we are not so scientific. So just like we have in the animal kingdom, the carnivorous, the omnivorous, it's the same thing with the human beings. So we have cholerics, we have phlegmatics, we have sanguines, and we have melancholics. Now cholerics are the ones who are very, can I say, they have the energy for life. They're go-getters. They love, they're achievers, you know. When you talk about investments, they're the people who really love going and they delve into it, all right? They tend to be also very emotional because of the kind of energy that they have. And even when you look at elements, they're said to be fire. So if you want to use symbols to describe a choleric, fire, you know, if you're standing on their way, they're gonna pass by you and they will burn everything around it, you know. So that's the type of personality we basically associate mostly with the narcissistic personality disorder, because already inside them there's a way they are wired. When you fix your eye on something, you must achieve it. So what does that mean? You will manipulate. There'll be a lot of emotions in it. You know, you may lack empathy because, you know, you're reasoning, this is what I wanted to do. Why are you telling me something else? Why are you standing on my way? Who are you? You know, so there's all that forms the basis of someone getting into that personality disorder.
But narcissists take it to a whole new level and drive their relatives and friends to extreme measure to cope. The story of Geodimburu is to relate with.
it's been 27 years and I didn't understand, because for me, I knew that I lived with a guy who was, you know, like live wire.
Yeah.
Like something small will just, you know, like tip him off. So you, most of the time you end up, me and the kids would end up almost, you know, like walking on eggshells.
Yes.
Because you're never sure about what is really going to upset him.
Yeah.
And then of course the cruelty mainly with the children, because for him every small thing, the beating from when they were very young, I could recognize this was a bit off, but then because I was young, I don't know why he convinced me that it's the way to raise children. And then before you know it, you get accustomed to your way of living.
Yeah.
You know it is wrong. Deep inside, you know it's really wrong.
Yeah.
But then I think you feel defeated, and you don't really know how you can correct the situation.
Yeah.
It's just those small little things, like even not being able to keep a house girl.
Yeah. Because
you're always being devalued in the home and being made to feel as if, you know, you're just another worker, just like that house girl, muko level moja. You know, you're just really at the same level.
Yeah.
So we would be, what's the word? The devaluing, the way he would even speak to me in front of the workers. You start even actually getting used to it, and before you know it, you keep thinking it's me who probably is a problem. Maybe I just don't get something right. But you know, it never stops.
It never stopped.
It never stops. I have seen my children, because I think they haven't gotten over it, they are really damaged. I see how, because now they are adults, they get bullied a lot.
How old are they?
My children are 27 and 23. The 27-year-old is working, but you can see now I'm trying to get them to change how they live, that, you know, bullying is not acceptable. You know, they easily get bullied, because that's the only thing they know. It's just a very twisted way of living.
You might also be wondering why some people become narcissists and others don't. Is it your responsibility to change them?
When we talk about the disorder itself, we always say, first understand, you know. There's some people who have become narcissists because of trauma. All right? Maybe you just used to be a very quiet person and people used to take advantage of you until one day something broke in you, something changed, and you decided, I am done with this. I am gonna be going for whatever I need to get. So it alters who you are. Originally, you may just be a very laid-back person, but because trauma alters, trauma changes, we always say pain changes, you now move into the extremities. That is why you find that sometimes, even when you talk about religion, someone was not, interested about God. They were doing all the wrong things that they can do in this life. And then all of a sudden, there's a different person, very radicalized, they're preaching on the streets, and you're wondering, this is a person who was, against religion. So in between there, when you follow up, you would realize that there's a lot of trauma that happened to this person, and they now decided, I am for God because of what they have experienced. So we say experience shapes people, okay? And trauma changes people. So we'll talk about that personality, and we talk about, you know, that the trauma. And trauma also in extension comes with the environment. So when we talk about environment, we are saying that sometimes you get people being moved to certain environments that are not really friendly in terms of, you know, compassion and empathy. So it's very important that people understand that we can have narcissists who became, they were not, but they became. We can have narcissists who were born with it. All right. Yeah. So that's from my experience also, you know, talking to people and of course doing therapy, I've realized that we miss out on that. Yeah. It's just not an inborn trait. It can also be grown, because we also say that behavior can be learned, it can be unlearned, and can be relearned. So if you can learn behavior, then narcissistic disorder can also be acquired.
It can also be acquired.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do narcissists ever change?
It is possible, but not 100%. Why do I say it's not possible to have 100% change? I brought in the issue of personality. Taking, for example, like myself, I'm a very tough person. All right? So it just depends on how or where I find myself. In situations where I really need to bring out that trait, I will bring it. And to someone who is observing, they will think, okay, why are you manipulative? Why are you, you know? So there's that thing. But, you know, and that's where we have the mental health experts coming in. We have the counselors, we have the psychologists, of course, in an extension, life coaches. Now, for any person to change, you must be aware of who you are. All right? So sometimes you sense it as a person. I'm tough. Maybe you find yourself in particular situations whereby people are avoiding you. Maybe you're this tough father, you're this tough mother. Your children they don't want to be around you. We've seen people share stories about their parents, you know, how they used to be beaten and something in them shifted. So they never bother whether their parents are sick, they will never go to see them. Okay? And it is because that narcissistic parenting style, which goes hand in hand with authoritative parenting, really interfered with these children. Now, it takes a lot of intentionality and commitment to change who you are as a person. And where does this start? From feedback. It's very important that in as much as we are social beings, to always look out for feedback. Take, for example, I want to believe you work with a team. And there's no way you can live life thinking, I'm this perfect person who, you know, everyone is okay with me. I always encourage everyone, you know, if you're in a place where you're dealing with any human being, be it your children, your workers, or, you know, always take time to ask feedback, you know. How do you find my behavior in this place? So we have to, you know, practice a lot of empathy rather than being extremely narcissistic. Okay? Because when we talk about the three major traits are manipulation. There's also extreme anger. That one comes out because as you manipulate, you're basically manifesting behavior that is not good. You're shouting at people, you're condensating, you know. That already is an extreme, you know, can I say trauma, because you're the shouting, you know, that tone does not go well with people. We are everyone is sensitive and everyone deserves that respect. So there's an exaggeration of things. Exaggerating of feelings, exaggerations of, you know, academic achievements. When you see narcissists, even the way they dress, they're the kind of people when they walk into a room, you must notice them. And if you don't notice them, they will actually leave. Yes. So they feel like they're a demigod. It's always like those showstoppers, like, hey, I've arrived, you know, can everyone stand up? Can you acknowledge me? You know, that kind of thing. And they have that very deep desire to be loved, to be appreciated, you know, and all that. And that really distorts them. So when we talk about, you know, that narcissism, it mostly has to do a lot with a basic trait that is called self-esteem.
How does a relationship with a narcissist actually look like?
You know, there are very different types of narcissism. There's the malignant one, that is the most extreme. You know, these ones, they don't care what you think about them, you know, and they're not very warm towards changing, you know. And we have the communal. Basically, they like dealing with people. They use people to manipulate situations. There's the covert narcissist. The covert narcissist is the kind of narcissist who will do wrong, but then play the victim. All right. So you've brought out something. I've corrected you. I've told you, by the way, Purity, I don't think whatever you're doing is really, you know, healthy in this space and all that. And then you become very defensive. And because I have given you feedback, now you start hating on me. You start avoiding me. You give me silent treatment. And, you know, you make the environment very unconducive for us to coexist. So when we those are just some of the types. So when we shift these types into a relationship, when you talk about, you know, a marriage, a husband, let me talk about the husband, and I'm not going to be gender biased, but a husband who is narcissistic is very controlling, extremely controlling. He will tell you who you need to talk to, who he doesn't want you to talk to. He will give you timelines. This house, you will be coming at this time. If you're ever late, it becomes a very serious issue. Actually, it becomes a point of conflict, okay? In that house, he's the one who makes all the major decisions. Talk about finances, there's never consultation, all right? The good thing is that besides that, in as much as they control you, they are go-getters. So when you talk about, getting wealth, acquiring wealth, they're very good at it because, remember, they have very high focus. They are the kind of people, if you don't appreciate what they do, they will kind of like begin distancing themselves. You know, it's all about like, you never see what I'm doing in this house. You never see that I bought for you this. You don't appreciate. So there's normally the feeling of one person is seated, you know, when you look at a seesaw, they're down there, and this person is the one who is talking down at them. So you talk about a master and a slave mentality, you know, where there's never communication, there's never, you know, point of reference. It's about what one person says. So if I say this, all of you, including the children, follow.
I filed for divorce and the court excluded him. They removed him from the home. My ex-husband. Of course, after I was able to, because I'm the one who filed the petition. So of course, I got orders that he should be moved. He should come out of the home. So I've been living with the children. But for me, the saddest part is the minute he was removed from the home. He refused to pay for their school fees. He refused to have anything to do with them. He blocked them. So they have no way of reaching him. We don't know where he is.
Yes.
Because we can't reach him.
You can't reach him via phone. And are you afraid that he'll come to where you are? Is he someone that you're afraid of?
Yes, he is, because I remember, especially because he got very bitter that I went to court to file for divorce. He started, he would come into the home because of course he still could access the home. He uprooted the water pump and destroyed the tank. The tank where the reservoir for water.
For water, yeah.
At one point, he beat up the dogs.
Wow. Okay.
So we got home, and so it was his way of hitting back at us for even thinking of daring to think we could, for daring him and thinking that we could get away with that. You know, like actually, Judy. In fact, he kept asking me, "How dare you? How dare you even think that you can take me to court?"
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been, especially the 2 years whilst waiting for the divorce to come through. It was tough.
It was tough.
And at that point, that's when I started to fear also for my life.
Yes.
And fortunately enough, I was able to, I found a job in the UK and I fled.
And you fled.
Of course, yeah.
Let me just say this as we end. People should stay away from calling everyone a narcissist, especially couples. Because one of the things that I've noticed even in the therapy room, the first statement that you'd hear someone say is that I think I'm dating a narcissist. So let's be very, very careful with that word, because as I said, everyone has a narcissistic trait in them. Yeah.
You now know what defines a narcissist, what to do, and when to seek help. Thank you for watching Wellness with Wanjiru. My name is Wanjiru Thuku. Until next time, goodbye.